Elon Musk has been flexing his billionaire muscles at the top of the rich list for a while now. From electric cars zooming down highways to rockets casually heading for Mars, he's built an empire that's part genius, part chaos. And let's not forget his mission to solve humanity's problems. Because, of course, who better than a meme-loving tech mogul? Whether he's pushing for clean energy, brain chips, or tweeting something that tanks the stock market, Musk has been that guy in the billionaire world. But here's the twist. Someone else is creeping up, ready to snatch the crown. Yep, the richest person alive title is officially up for grabs again. In the world of billionaires, fortunes flip faster than a reality TV plotline, and this new contender isn't here to play nice. So, will they be the next big visionary, or is it just another round of rich people chess? Either way, buckle up. The race is on, and it's about to get wild. The people who run the world. When people think of groundbreaking technology, the first names that come to mind are usually Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, or some Silicon Valley genius with a hoodie and a billion-dollar startup. But what if I told you that one of the most mind-blowing inventions in recent years didn't come from a high-tech lab in California, but from a self-taught inventor in Africa? Maxwell Chikumbutso, a Zimbabwean innovator, has been making waves with a technology so wild that even Tesla engineers had to take a step back and say, "Wait, what?" Chikumbutso didn't just show up to play, he came to flip the entire board. While Elon Musk is out here hyping up Cybertrucks and building a supercharger network that looks like it could power a small country, Maxwell said, "Nah, I'll just make a car that powers itself. No charging stations, no gas, no waiting around for hours while your EV guzzles electricity. Just pure, limitless energy, pulled right from the environment." Suddenly, the Cybertruck feels like last season's iPhone. And then there's Jeff Bezos. He's been busy launching rockets into space and turning Amazon into a global powerhouse. But imagine what would happen if Chikumbutso's tech went mainstream. Bezos has been pouring cash into renewable energy projects, solar farms, wind turbines, you name it. But Chikumbutso's invention makes all that look like overcomplicated science fair projects. Why build acres of solar panels when you can have a car, a house, even an entire city powered by energy that's literally just floating around us? Bezos might be great at next-day delivery, but even Prime can't compete with infinite self-sustaining energy. And of course, we can't forget Bill Gates, the guy who's been throwing billions at climate change solutions. He's all about saving the planet, funding nuclear plants, wind farms, and other green initiatives. But here's the plot twist. Chikumbutso's tech doesn't need massive infrastructure or billion-dollar facilities. It's clean energy, but without the corporate middlemen. Good for the planet? Absolutely. Good for Gates' energy investments? Not so much. Then there are the oil giants. Oh, they thought they had time, like, we'll deal with EVs in a couple of decades, no rush. But Chikumbutso just nuked that timeline. EVs still rely on charging stations powered by traditional grids, but his invention? It completely sidesteps that. No gas, no grid, no oil money. It's like someone cut the power cord to the entire fossil fuel industry. And let's not forget governments. Energy is one of their biggest moneymakers. Taxes, regulations, subsidies, you name it. A self-sustaining power source throws a wrench into that whole system. Imagine millions of people going off-grid, no utility bills, no dependency on state-controlled energy. It's not just disruptive, it's revolutionary. These moguls didn't get rich by playing fair. They control energy, infrastructure, and basically the flow of global wealth. But Chikumbutso's breakthrough? It's the ultimate wild card. And if there's one thing these guys hate, it's losing control of the game. The man who left Tesla in shock. All right, let's get straight to the point. Chikumbutso claims to have created technology that generates power using electromagnetic radiation from the environment. In other words, he figured out how to pull energy from thin air. His invention includes a car that doesn't need gasoline, electricity, or solar power. Instead, it runs on something called a self-sustaining energy generator. No charging stations, no fuel pumps, just pure, uninterrupted motion. If true, this could completely flip the auto industry upside down. Imagine never having to pay for gas or plug in your car again. Goodbye, oil industry. Goodbye, Tesla superchargers. Hello, infinite energy. Now, you might be wondering, if this guy really invented something this revolutionary, why isn't everyone talking about it? Well, that's where things get interesting. Africa, and specifically South Africa and Zimbabwe, often get overlooked when it comes to technological breakthroughs. The global media and big corporations tend to focus on innovations coming from the US, Europe, or China, leaving many African inventors in the shadows. Chikumbutso himself has hinted at this, saying, "Most people never believed in me. I approached countless organizations, and they all turned me down." Sound familiar? A lot of history's greatest inventors faced rejection before changing the world. The difference here is that the stakes are massive. If Chikumbutso's technology works on a large scale, it could disrupt multiple industries. And not everyone in power wants that. Rumors have swirled that Chikumbutso's technology even caught the attention of Tesla engineers. Some reports claim that he was invited to the US to showcase his work. And let's be real. If someone is out there making cars that never need to charge or refuel, Tesla would definitely want to know what's up. After all, Elon Musk has positioned himself as the king of clean energy transportation. If a self-taught inventor from Zimbabwe figured out something even better, it would be a game changer. Chikumbutso also developed a fuel-free generator that supposedly produces up to 500 kilowatt of power without any fuel or external power source. That means homes, businesses, and even entire cities could theoretically run on this technology without relying on the traditional power grid. Let that sink in for a second. If this is real, we're talking about an energy revolution. Now here's where things take a bit of a twist. Some believe that Chikumbutso's work has been suppressed. After all, free energy is a direct threat to trillion-dollar industries: oil, electricity, and even renewable energy companies. There have been claims that he's faced pushback from powerful entities that don't want this technology going mainstream. Some people think that's why his work hasn't been globally recognized yet. But Chikumbutso hasn't given up. In an interview, he stated, "I was told my inventions were impossible, but here they are, working. The world will see." And he's not just talking. His prototypes have reportedly been tested and verified by engineers in Zimbabwe and beyond. The big question now is whether his technology will be widely adopted, or if it'll stay buried under corporate and political pressure. If Chikumbutso's work gains traction, it could completely redefine how we think about energy. And let's be honest, who wouldn't want to see a world where cars run forever, electricity is free, and oil companies lose their grip on global energy? For now, the world is watching. Whether he becomes the Nikola Tesla of our time, or just another forgotten genius, remains to be seen. But one thing's for sure, Maxwell Chikumbutso is a name worth remembering. So, what do you think? Is this the future of energy, or just another too-good-to-be-true story? Either way, it's got Tesla, and the rest of us, paying attention. Clean energy for everyone. Imagine a world where your car never needs gas, electricity, or even a charging port. You just drive, forever. No gas stations, no home chargers, no range anxiety. Sounds like science fiction, right? Well, Maxwell Chikumbutso's groundbreaking invention might be the closest we've ever gotten to making that a reality. His creation, the Scythe EV, is the first self-powered vehicle that generates its own energy through motion and the surrounding environment. No plugs, no wires, just limitless power. At its core, Chikumbutso's technology taps into ambient radiation, energy that's already floating around us in the atmosphere, and converts it into usable power. Think of it like catching invisible Wi-Fi signals, but instead of data, you're getting pure energy. Sounds wild, but that's essentially how it works. The car even continues generating power as it moves, creating a self-sustaining cycle. Now, let's talk about the ripple effect of something like this. If vehicles can run endlessly without fuel or charging, the energy world would never be the same. And it's not just about cars. Imagine entire homes, cities, and countries powered without traditional energy sources. Energy poverty is still a harsh reality for millions of people around the globe. According to the International Energy Agency, over 700 million people still lack access to electricity. In many African countries, power outages aren't rare events. They're daily struggles. Chikumbutso's limitless power concept could literally flip the switch for entire communities that have been left in the dark. This kind of self-sustaining energy tech could do more than just make cars cooler. It could completely eliminate energy poverty. With this technology, remote villages could have access to electricity without the need for expensive infrastructure. No need for power plants, long electrical grids, or the massive maintenance costs that come with them. But let's not sugarcoat it. This level of disruption terrifies big energy corporations. The moment you say free energy, you're basically waving a red flag at every oil tycoon and utility provider on the planet. The fossil fuel industry, already losing ground to electric vehicles and renewable energy, would take another massive hit. Even renewable companies that profit from solar panels, wind farms, and hydroelectric plants could feel threatened. Then there's the auto industry. Companies have been pouring billions into perfecting electric cars, pushing EVs as the green future. Tesla, for example, built its entire brand around electric cars and their revolutionary battery tech. But what happens if batteries aren't even necessary? A self-charging car makes a fully electric vehicle that still needs charging stations. Look, outdated. The Scythe EV challenges the entire ecosystem of energy consumption. It's like giving people water from the air. Suddenly, bottled water companies don't look so great. And the impact on climate change? Massive. If the world could shift to self-sustaining energy sources, carbon emissions from vehicles, which account for nearly 25% of global CO2 emissions, could plummet. Plus, without the need for massive energy plants or extensive mining for battery materials, the environmental footprint would shrink even more. Of course, all of this sounds like the ultimate tech fantasy, and that's exactly why many skeptics have dismissed Chikumbutso's work as too good to be true. But the fact remains, he's built working prototypes, and they function in ways traditional science can't easily explain. It's disruptive, it's confusing, and it's everything that makes big industries nervous. Another layer to this story: Chikumbutso isn't backed by a tech giant or a billionaire investor. He's a self-taught inventor from Zimbabwe, operating outside the glossy boardrooms of Silicon Valley. That alone makes it easier for global media to overlook him, or for powerful forces to quietly sideline his work. But what if he's onto something real? The implications are enormous. Limitless energy could close the economic gaps between nations, empower developing countries, and finally create an energy ecosystem that doesn't revolve around profit. Imagine how different the world would be if power wasn't a luxury but a basic right, and if it didn't come with a monthly bill. For now, Chikumbutso's invention remains somewhat of an underground legend, known by tech enthusiasts, alternative energy advocates, and those willing to dig beyond mainstream headlines. But as energy debates heat up and more people start questioning where our power comes from, game changers like this could shift from the shadows into the spotlight. Because at the end of the day, the real revolution isn't flashy cars or billionaire space races. It's giving everyday people the kind of freedom that can't be controlled by big corporations. And what's more freeing than unlimited energy? The market meltdown. Now here's where things get even crazier. Not only does Maxwell Chikumbutso's Scythe EV run without fuel or charging, but it's also affordable. Yeah, you heard that right. It's not some luxury concept car reserved for billionaires or tech collectors. Chikumbutso designed this car with accessibility in mind, aiming to make it available to the average person. Imagine this: a self-sustaining vehicle that doesn't require gas, electricity, or constant maintenance, and it won't cost an arm and a leg. That alone could turn the entire global market upside down. Think about how much of the world's economy is tied to energy consumption, from oil drilling and refineries to gas stations, and even the electric vehicle charging industry. Now picture a reality where people no longer need any of it. Oil companies would be hit first, hard. Their entire business model revolves around the constant need for fuel. Without that, demand plummets, prices nosedive, and stock markets start sweating. But it wouldn't stop at oil. The entire auto industry could face a shakeup. Companies like Tesla, who pride themselves on their cutting-edge battery tech, would suddenly seem outdated. Why would anyone buy a car that still needs charging when there's one that powers itself? For less. EV giants who spent billions building charging networks could see their investments evaporate overnight. Traditional car makers wouldn't be safe either. Gas-powered vehicles, basically dinosaurs in this new age. Even hybrid cars, the supposed bridge between gas and electric, would look like relics. Car companies would be forced to either pivot massively or risk going extinct. And then there's the ripple effect. Gas stations would become obsolete. Electric charging stations, ghost towns, the industries that manufacture car batteries, in serious trouble. Entire sectors that rely on people constantly refilling and recharging would be left scrambling. Now, zoom out a bit. This isn't just about cars and oil. This kind of energy breakthrough could destabilize global markets. Major oil exporting countries could face economic crises as their primary source of income dries up. Wall Street would have a meltdown watching billion-dollar energy stocks crash. And all of this triggered by an affordable car invented by a self-taught innovator from Zimbabwe. It almost feels like something out of a movie. The underdog creates a world-changing invention, and the giant corporations scramble to contain it. But that's exactly why stories like this often fly under the radar. The truth is, industries built on profits aren't going to celebrate technology that eliminates the need for their services. Free energy? Affordable, self-sustaining cars? That's the kind of disruption that keeps CEOs up at night. But for everyday people, it's a total game changer. Families wouldn't have to budget for gas or rising electricity bills. Commuters could drive without stressing over fluctuating fuel prices. And in places where energy is scarce or wildly expensive, it could open doors to opportunities that were previously out of reach. Maxwell Chikumbutso didn't just build a car. He built a serious threat to some of the world's most powerful industries. And if his tech ever hits the mainstream, we might be looking at the biggest economic shift the modern world has ever seen. Free energy for everyone. Maxwell Chikumbutso didn't stop at cars. Nope, he took his game-changing tech and applied it to other areas that could completely reshape how we use energy in our daily lives. One of his wildest inventions? A self-powered TV. That's right. No plug, no electricity bill. Just endless streaming without worrying about that power-hungry flat screen draining energy. The concept is simple but revolutionary. The TV uses the same green energy technology as his self-charging car. It pulls energy from the environment, specifically radio frequencies, and powers itself. So you could literally place it anywhere, turn it on, and binge your favorite shows without a second thought about energy consumption. No cords, no outlets, just pure uninterrupted Netflix marathons. Now picture the impact if this went mainstream. Think of places where electricity is unreliable or outrageously expensive. Families who've never owned a TV because of high energy costs could finally afford one without worrying about monthly bills. In disaster-stricken areas where the power grid goes down, these self-powered devices could keep people connected, informed, and entertained. But Chikumbutso didn't stop at entertainment. He set his sights on something even bigger: energy for entire homes. Imagine your house running completely off-grid, not because of solar panels or wind turbines, but because of a compact energy box that continuously generates power. No more utility bills, no more blackouts, and no more dependence on fossil fuels or aging infrastructure. This isn't science fiction, it's part of Chikumbutso's vision. His technology, known as Microsonic Energy Device, MED, can produce enough energy to power not just TVs or small gadgets, but entire households. It works 24/7, pulling energy from radio frequencies, magnetic fields, and even heat in the atmosphere. The result? A constant, renewable energy source that doesn't require sunlight, wind, or any of the usual environmental conditions that limit traditional renewables. The potential here is massive. In areas where electricity access is limited or non-existent, this tech could be life-changing. Millions of people around the world still live without stable electricity, not because it's impossible to provide, but because traditional energy infrastructures are costly and complicated to set up. A portable, self-generating energy device would bypass all that. No wires, no power grids, just clean energy on demand. And let's not forget about urban areas. Even in cities with established power grids, energy costs can be brutal. A self-sustaining home energy system could cut down utility bills, reduce carbon footprints, and make households immune to rising energy prices. Plus, in places prone to blackouts or natural disasters, it offers a level of energy security that solar panels or backup generators can't always guarantee. But of course, there's a catch, or rather a reason why this tech hasn't exploded worldwide. Disruptive innovations like this tend to ruffle feathers. Energy is big business, and companies that make billions off utility bills. Fuel and infrastructure aren't exactly thrilled about the idea of people generating free power at home. Still, the possibilities are too huge to ignore. Think beyond just homes and TVs, self-powered hospitals in remote areas, schools that don't rely on unstable power grids, and even emergency shelters that can operate fully off-grid during crises. The humanitarian potential alone is massive. Maxwell Chikumbutso's vision isn't just about flashy inventions. It's about giving people energy independence. He's tackling energy poverty head-on and creating tech that could shift the balance of power away from big corporations and back to everyday people. The question now is, will the world embrace it, or will the powers that be try to keep it hidden? Either way, Chikumbutso has already proven one thing. The future of energy might be closer than we think, and it could look nothing like what we've been told. Chikumbutso's fight for survival. When you mess with billion-dollar industries, things get dicey. Maxwell Chikumbutso didn't just disrupt the system, he threw a grenade at it. And in a world where oil tycoons and energy moguls practically run the show, that's the kind of move that doesn't exactly earn you a fruit basket. Instead, it puts a giant flashing target on your back. Chikumbutso's breakthrough was nothing short of revolutionary. We're talking about technology that powers cars, homes, and gadgets without a single drop of fuel or even being plugged into the grid. His car literally generates its own energy while in motion. No gas, no charging stations, no pricey electric vehicle batteries. It's the stuff oil execs have nightmares about. But here's where things take a dark turn. Because when you create something that threatens multi-trillion-dollar industries, powerful people don't exactly sit back and applaud. They panic, and when they panic, they play dirty. Chikumbutso started noticing the signs. Shady figures following him, mysterious warnings, unmarked cars parked a little too long near his house. He's openly talked about fearing for his life. When you invent something that disrupts entire economies, you automatically become a target, he once revealed. And it wasn't just talk, there were actual attempts on his life. It's the classic too powerful for his own good storyline, but this isn't a movie. It's real, and it got even worse. One of Chikumbutso's closest business partners, someone who fully backed his mission and poured resources into making this tech go global, didn't survive the storm. Details around their death? Shady at best. The kind of accident that raises more eyebrows than sympathy cards. This is the kind of stuff that makes you wonder, how many life-changing inventions have been buried before they ever saw daylight? Because Chikumbutso isn't the first to go through this. History's got a long list of inventors who stumbled upon energy breakthroughs, only for their work to mysteriously vanish, patents to get locked away, or worse, the inventors themselves disappear. And that's where things get real. Chikumbutso didn't just create a cool gadget. He built something that could obliterate energy poverty, collapse the oil market, and make electricity bills a thing of the past. That's not innovation. That's an economic earthquake. But with that kind of disruption comes serious risk. Chikumbutso had to lay low, relocate, and stay under the radar. He knows the stakes. When you start interfering with the world's biggest money-making machines, they don't fight fair. It's not about competition. It's about elimination. Still, he hasn't given up. Despite threats, attempted hits, and losing his partner, Chikumbutso has kept pushing forward, driven by the idea that energy shouldn't be a luxury. Imagine communities in energy-poor regions finally having power, without the insane costs or reliance on unstable grids. That's what he's fighting for. But the world's not making it easy. The powers that be don't want energy to be free. There's too much money in keeping people hooked on oil, gas, and overpriced electricity. So, people like Chikumbutso, they become problems to fix. The question now is, will he survive long enough to get his tech into the hands of everyday people? Or will he become another name on the long list of innovators who got a little too close to rewriting the rules? Because in the world of limitless energy, it's not just about power, it's about who controls it. And right now, that fight is heating up. So, do you think Chikumbutso is a revolutionary genius changing the world, or just another inventor the system isn't ready for? Share your thoughts in the comments down below. Thanks for tuning in, and be sure to check out these other videos we've selected just for you. Catch you in the next one.